Okay, and we're back. We're back with more House of Reeds. This is part two. I believe it is now my turn. We're still in our first
Yes.
year. Yeah. All right, let's roll them bones. Eight. Age. Age. A family member is growing up, maturing, or growing old. I'm gonna set this scene. I'm gonna set the scene once again back in winter. We're back in winter. It's maybe a couple days after Christmas. Maybe Emily's still hanging around, but maybe it's her Emily's. No, it is Emily's last night here before she's heading out, and we're on the rooftop, just hanging out. Emily and Bartholomew, and Bartholomew's kind of asking Emily, what it's like to kind of live out there on her own, and Emily tells her, kind of just tells it straight to Bartholomew, and just it kind of explains how, or she kind of explains just how hard it is. Um, that she Bartholomew is already doing way better than Emily could ever hope for, since Bartholomew already has that bakery gig, and that he could actually go into the trade, in a few years. Um, that he'll probably have to live with some other bakers, or like something, a small little place, maybe even like in the bakery itself for a little while. It's gonna suck, but he'll probably be better off for it. And Bartholomew can't really like stomach it right now. When like Emily tells him that, he gets kind of like scared about the future, and he kind of confesses to Emily how, it's like he loves working at the bakery, but what he loves more is helping the kids here, and he's terrified of having to give that up someday. So that's Bartholomew trying to realize his maturity, and how his time at the house is kind of coming down at some point.
Nice.
Um, it smells like pipe weed on the roof because they were smoking pipe weed. That's the change for now,
Mm-hmm.
but that will clear up. Um, okay.
And we have a new round. Yes.
No, you get. Oh yeah, yeah. That's one more. That's the new round. So we all update our characters to 1 year. So everyone goes up one. I'll do it.
I already did like half of them.
Oh, yeah, you did. Okay, I started from the bottom. Okay.
I started from the top. It's fine. We figured it out.
Woo. Okay. It's back to you.
All right. Let's roll some dice. Where did my cursor go? Hold on. Haha. 10. Ooh. Pain. Show how one family member causes another suffering. Ooh. Okay. This is going to be set in the basement.
Okay.
And the we're gonna go with what time of year would this be? This is gonna be summer, the height of summer. And this scene is just between Mr. and Mrs. Jenkins. And
Okay. Yeah.
In the time since we last saw this room, the broken busts have been cleaned up and removed. So I'm going to just delete that part.
Okay.
Okay. And we see Mr. Jenkins going through some boxes. He's looking for something. And comes down the stairs. And she says, "You're not going to find it, John. It's gone." And he closes up the box and moves on to another one. And he says, "Marta, I know, I absolutely know that I kept it. There's no way I would have thrown it out. It was very important to me, and I think it will be very important to Bartholomew. I just need to find it." And Marta comes to the bottom of the stairs and she says, "I know you wouldn't throw it out. I threw it out. That duster was hardly even a coat anymore. You can't just keep things. I threw it out, and we're better for it. It was a rat's nest, a literal rat's nest. I can't believe you kept it for this long." And he turns around to her and says, "How dare you? I owned that I owned that duster for 40 years. Well, it's been in my family for 40 years." And he like kind of shrugs like there's no difference and says, "How could you just throw it out? It was good leather. It that cost almost we spend on food for a year." And she says, "Maybe it cost that 40 years ago, but you'd be lucky to boil it for shoe leather soup, the condition it was in. Be
Ooh.
do better for a rat trap. Oh, come on, there's not going to find anything down here." And she had the box he was looking for through and opens up another box, but you can see there's like his eyes are red rimmed and tight because he just doesn't want to believe that she would throw that out.
Oh,
But he's not quite on the verge. He's not quite crying, but he's on the verge of tears.
dang.
End scene.
Yeah. Woo. All right. 16. Lies. All right.
Ooh.
What season did that take place? Did you say spring?
Summer.
Summer. Okay. 16.
Late summer, just before fall.
All right. I'm thinking about where I want to put this. Lies. I think this is going to be. Um, this will also take place in the summer, but building up to this, uh, Bartholomew and Emily have been hanging out a lot. Um, just in like a friendly like advice kind of just like friendship kind of way. But
Mm-hmm.
I think Old Man Jenkins thinks that Bartholomew has a crush on Emily. So I think Bartholomew Bart is just hanging out up on the roof again. I think that's probably like his chill spot, just like where he likes to hang out and go look at the stars and stuff when he's not working or taking care of anybody. I think Old Man Jenkins comes up to him and tries to kind of have that talk with him about like how he should, it's like, hey, Bartholomew, you're getting to be an older kid now. You're working at that bakery, and I'm really proud of you. Um, but I couldn't help but notice how much time you've been spending with Emily, and you haven't been spending, and you never really spent that much time with her beforehand. And he kind of asks, or he kind of insinuates, or in like a question kind of way, like, it's like, so is that do you care for Emily, uh, like that in a way that maybe you don't understand? And Bartholomew thinks about it and nods because he doesn't because that's technically true, but it's not true in the way that Old Man Jenkins like kind of thought the way he said it. Thinking that Old Man Jenkins was trying to say that Bartholomew like has romantic feelings for Emily. And so it's just this misread situation, and Bartholomew just kind of like ends up nodding and like they have the whole spiel from Old Man Jenkins and how it's like you're a bright young kid, you're one of the smartest kids I've ever met. Um, you've been here the longest, more than anyone. You've taken care of anybody who ever needs your help. You're super smart. Um, and he kind of like pats him on the back and says, just um, don't be cautious, or I guess I should say he says don't jump to conclusions or like jump on like Emily, like there's plenty of people around. I know she might be around, like the person you crush right now, but things change when. And he kind of says, when I was your age, yada yada. And like he just kind of like nods and kind of just wishes for this thing to be over. And so just lies to Old Man Jenkins and never and doesn't tell him up here on the roof how he actually feels about Emily and how that's purely platonic. And he just kind of has to go with it. So
I
that's
like it. Okay. Cool. All right. Let's oh yeah, you're supposed to do a change the room.
oh yeah, I think he moves the chair. Oops, I grabbed half the banister.
That's perfect.
He
He
scoots the
moves
chair.
half the banister. It's fine.
Yeah,
Two.
he just scoots the chair over. That's it. Because he doesn't want to sit down, or he's old and he has to sit down while he's talking to Bartholomew.
Yeah, that makes sense. Oh no, disaster. Oh shoot.
Whoa,
Something bad happens
man,
that
this
affects
year.
everyone strong. Reshuffle. Oof. Okay. Oh gosh. Oh, I've got it. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm
go
so
ahead.
sorry. This takes place on the roof as well. Um, I think this is gonna be late fall, like or no, no. Let's make this early spring instead. Yes.
Okay,
Basically sometime when it's rainy.
okay,
And Robin is on the roof. He's out on the patio and a he's taken to looking at the stars through the telescope. And there's a shooting star that really excites them. And they uh, jump up from looking through the telescope and start chasing it across the rooftop until, not even looking, they didn't even think about it. They hit the railing and fall off the
Oh
edge.
my god.
And they wind up with a broken arm and a broken leg.
So the banister is broken.
And everyone is very upset um, that this has happened, that they'd been up on the roof alone, that the banister had been rickety. It just, it was definitely a tragedy, and it took most of the year for them to recover from their injuries.
Oh man.
That's not the banister. Sorry. Oh boy. Yeah. You know what? I'm just going to draw on there.
There. I deleted it. Now you can do it.
That's the break.
Oh. Okay.
Because I'm great at drawing.
And you that reshuffles the deck, so everything else is fair game again.
Uh huh. And then that was my second turn for this year.
Yeah, so
So,
this is the last one for this year.
okay.
Lies. God damn.
Again, and we can do it because we reshuffled the deck. Oof.
Yep. Um, I think Robin. I think Robin's hanging out with Sparrow, or I should probably say, Robin is bothering Sparrow, wondering what Sparrow's up to, and kind of just interrogating her with random questions. Um, Robin wants to know where Sparrow grew up before before coming here, before taking it being taken in by Old Man Jenkins. Um, because I think Robin maybe notices like a scar or something on Sparrow, or on Sparrow's body, or maybe something like her hair or something just shoots out from Robin, and Robin asks, and I guess this might be over. I like the idea that this is in the dining room, and this is around like Thanksgiving feast time, and everyone's around the table and everyone's nice, and I think Robin just kind of yeah. So ignore the part about Robin trying like playing around with Sparrow. I think everyone's in this room, and I think Robin just sort of drops that question at Thanksgiving, just sort of like out of the blue. Just like so where were you from before you came here? And Sparrow does not like being put on the spot like that. And so Sparrow kind of like everyone kind of stops eating and everyone kind of just looks at Sparrow, and Sparrow kind of just uneasily looks at Old Man Jenkins, and you can see Old Man Jenkins kind of just has like a like, oh my god, this just happened kind of look. Um, and I think Sparrow just comes up with a lie, but she says it so convincingly about how her parents were killed by like muggers. Um, around the holidays, and like as her earliest memory was the smell of freshly baked cornbread, um, and she just grew up on the streets ever since. That's a lie. She's That's not at all what happened, but that's all she gives away, just to deflect Robin, and Robin just kind of says okay and doesn't kind of realize the faux pas that they did. So, scene. So the dining room is set with like fall stuff. So
Mhm.
hanging around are like pumpkins and squashes and stuff like that, like cornucopia kind of things.
Nice.
That's a pumpkin with little red streamers. Whatever.
How festive.
Super festive. And now we update
Okay.
the years.
Ages.
Or yeah,
I'll start at the top. You start at the bottom.
sure. I'll do the bottom two.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I mean
That marked
this is kind
lies.
of literally the game. Like you just keep going back and forth. It gets pretty good. I like it a lot. It's a lot of fun.
No, this is a lot of fun. I'm enjoying this.
Yeah, just it's very just cozy. It just feels cozy.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's roll for the new year. The new year, new traditions. Okay. So, hmm, I think this is going to be a um a scene that takes place in the study. There is it it's it's Robin's birthday.
Okay.
And so there's a birthday tradition. Maybe specifically because they're starting to have that transition from child to tween. Um, and so there's a specific gift that is traditional um, for um, this fantasy world setting uh, that you would give around this time. That's sort of like you're no longer a child. You are now capable of being responsible.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And
the teenager
I
talk.
think right. But there's like a specific like
You're gonna be entrusted with more responsibility and that kind of stuff,
oh
and
god,
people are gonna
yeah,
demand
it
more
has
from
to
you.
be okay. It you know what?
I'm
It
not
it
trying to
has to
steal your scene.
be no. Like I was already thinking that, and like you just kind of sold me on the idea of it. It's a pet, an animal that you're now like responsible to take care of. And I
Ooh.
think it is um it's probably a kitten. And
Oh.
so this is Marta gifting Robin with a kitten and telling them that they are old enough now to be responsible, and to show that um you'll be responsible for this kitten. and like she points like some of the other cats and says, this cat was raised by Emily. This cat was raised by Josiah. This cat, was uh, the the of a litter of a kitten that I gave to, um, and so on. And so there's now a cat that lives in the study. Well, not entirely,
Oh.
but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Study cat. That's a beautiful cat.
Perfect.
And what's the cat's name?
Let's see. What would Robin name the cat? Because they have the choice.
Yeah.
Um, and since I decided to draw it in blue, it's a Russian blue. The cat is all gray,
Oh, nice.
and so um, the cat's name is Shadow. You'd think that would be a black cat's name, but obviously you've never had a gray cat if that is the case,
Yeah.
because gray cats hide in shadows even better than black cats do, because black cats are darker than the shadows usually.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I have a gray cat. I know these things.
So, that was your second one for this year.
No, that was my first one for this year.
Oh, that's right. It's brand new. So that
Mm-hmm.
was.
Tradition.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh, we already did
Yep.
tradition. 12 is
Support.
support. Hmm.
Show how family members support one another against adversity. Oh, awesome.
That'll be
Um,
fun.
it's the dining room. Um, it is. So it's a new year. Um, this is early fall. Yeah, it's early fall, and Bartholomew comes in. He comes back home. It's about 5 o'clock, and you see he's not wearing like his normal apron or covered in flour. And he says, "So I don't have a job anymore. This year's blight on the crops for grain and wheat meant they don't really need me. There's not enough bread to be made, and
This is so sad.
they let me go. So now I don't have a job." And he's telling these people at dinner, and everyone kind of like gives him a hug and kind of like, "Oh, it's okay, it's all right." Um, he kind of blames the fact that he got injured on the roof and wasn't able to work, and they gave him back that job, and they just couldn't keep him on, and everyone was super sad. And I think
Mm.
I think I think maybe Marta Jenkins like kind of knew something was up that morning and ended up like baking Bartholomew a I don't think baking actually, that's probably bad. She probably like made him his favorite meal,
Mm-hmm.
which is it's the fall. I love let's go with I love like a squash soup. I think he likes like a really like a nice spicy squash soup.
Nice.
So that's how they support. So the room smells like squash soup for the time being.
All right. Let's roll it. Age. Well, I already just said that it was Robin's birthday, so I suppose this is a good to that. So here we are. It's still Robin's birthday, or shortly after. And I think this scene actually takes place in the basement.
Okay.
Robin has, I wouldn't say tricked so much as maybe used an excuse to get Marta to join them down in the basement because they have some questions they don't need the rest of the household overhearing. And this is where we find out that Robin is actually was actually uh, uh, biologically female as she started her menses,
Hmm.
and Marta needs to explain to her all of how that whole thing works down in the basement where she's hiding and trying to have this not be the case. Um, and so Marta goes and gets certain necessary supplies and explains to her how to use them. And
Oh God.
Robin takes them, but she's crying the entire time.
Hmm. Jeez.
And the basement is filled with the sounds of sobbing for the entirety of the scene.
Yeah.
That's it.
Complicate. This has not been a
Yeah.
nice year.
Like last year was any nicer?
Yeah. I think I think Bart probably I think Bart maybe talked to he's been kind of like lounging around since he doesn't have a job and has been kind of depressed the following weeks. So this is like mid-fall. He's on the roof. Um, he's on the roof helping Old Man Jenkins actually repair the banister because now that he has some free time, and I think that's the time Bartholomew tells Old Man Jenkins, um, you know, I don't. I want to do what you do. I just want to help kids. I don't want to go out and explore the world. I want to. Like this is me. This is who I am, and like caring for people is a huge part of who I am. And like Old Man Jenkins is like trying to reason with him and be like, but like you can't stay here forever. I mean, you're like I love you and your son, but like you're getting older, and like one day you're gonna have to move out. And and Bartholomew just doesn't see it, um, complicating the relationship between Old Man Jenkins and Bartholomew. But in the meantime, the banister is repaired.
Yay, Bannister.
Tywin Bannister.
Okay. Oh. Oh. Okay. That's the end of the year. Wow, that went by super fast.
Yeah. All right. I'll do the bottom, you do the top. In person, you play this with dice, so it's super easy to just rotate a d10 up one.
Well, there's both of us working on it, so it's not so bad.
Yeah.
Right, let's roll. Progress. That sounds much better. Something good happens that benefits the family as a
Oh, thank
whole.
God.
Yeah, we've been needing this. Um, hmm. When, where, and how, though? Okay, it makes sense that this would be in the dining room, and everyone is there. And I think, what time of year is this? Um, let's keep it. Yeah, let's keep it fall because that seems to be the time of year that things happen around here. um, and there's a certain aura of hopefulness that just is like it's like one of those things where like in movies where they catch the dust motes and the beams of light
Oh,
coming
yeah.
through the
Yeah.
window,
It's like
like, and
almost
there's
like
that kind of
snowflakes or
music.
whatever.
Ah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Except it's fall, not winter, so there's no
I know,
snowflakes.
but like it
But
floats in the air, kind of that sort of like
yeah, like
particle.
that.
Yeah. Sorry.
So you can like see that effect coming in through the window,
Mm-hmm.
um, as everyone is setting down for dinner, as you do, when Bartholomew um, comes in. He bursts into the room from the door over here.
Okay.
He bursts in and he holds aloft a piece of paper, and he says, and everyone looks to him, and he's so excited as he holds it up. He says, "I was not only accepted to the most prestigious baking school, but I've got a full scholarship.
Oh.
I'll be able to stay here since it's just down, it's just down the street, and I'm paying. That'll save me a lot of money that I would normally have to spend out of the scholarship, and we can put that towards the house. I think this solves all of our problems."
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, it's beautiful. I start next week because that's why it's fall, because that's when school starts.
Oh my God. That's amazing.
Yeah. Well, we need some good news.
We already got support. Oh, I have a D12. Oops. Conflict. Um, let's do it a couple weeks after. Um,
hmm
I'm thinking about the study, and I think the conflict will be over Shadow. So we're in the study, and Sparrow's doing her homework, and Shadow like keeps knocking stuff off the desk or whatever. and she starts. I guess she gets upset with the cat, but she more blames Robin. And Robin kind of comes in hearing the commotion, being like, "What's wrong?" And Shadow, are you okay? And like kind of like more worried about the cat. And Sparrow kind of says that, and that you're so worried about this cat that you're not even seeing how it's like interfering with my own work and stuff, and I'm more important and than just like the cat. And Robin kind of looks at Sparrow, and this is maybe one of the first times where Robin realizes she might be a little bit more mature than Sparrow. That like Sparrow might be like world weary, but like she just is kind of still a little bit naive in terms of like emotions. And well, like Robin is kind of just looks at Sparrow, and I think deep down Sparrow I think deep down Robin, how do I put this? Uh, I want I want Robin to be upset with Sparrow, because of just how Sparrow's acting over this cat, and realizes how kind of childish it is. And Sparrow wants Robin to just get her damn cat out of here so she can finish her work. She's uncovering some sort of new magical theory and does not want to be disturbed.
Yeah. Very excited about magical theories.
Yeah.
Wait, so no.
Nope.
Only you get to tell lies.
Nope.
Oh no.
Oh, pain.
Pain. I'm thinking. Okay. When did your scene take place?
Oh, this was late fall.
Wait, fall. Okay. Um. Hmm. Oh, pain though. Jeez. Okay. Oh God, I'm a terrible person, but I get these cards and I gotta play them. Okay. So this takes place um in the winter, our Christmas Eve analog again. We're seeing um in the dining room, um Old Man Jenkins and Bartholomew. And the tradition here normally is that the present the children receive presents from their parents,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. No giving exchange
Children.
uh,
Yeah.
between children or between adults. It's simply like a gift onto the younger generation kind of deal, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is the first year that Bartholomew does not receive a present. And he's sitting there at the table arguing with Old Man Jenkins that if he's not going to get a present, he should be able to give a gift to Robin. And Old Man Jenkins says that's not his place. He's not the head of the household, he's not the father. He has no business giving the gift. He should save his money. He needs to think about, once classes are finished, he'll be eligible for uh, very prestigious baking jobs, not like where a simple shortage of grain would short up bread production enough to cause layoffs, but a real bakery, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And um, it ends with Bartholomew having two small packages and tucking them back in his coat as he storms out of the door. And in that scene, it was decorated for the holiday, obviously,
Yeah.
and that's temporary. If it's not
So.
that time of year. Anyway, sorry, that was hard.
Oh yeah. That was your second scene, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because you did conflict beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Or no, no.
No, you did I did progress.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, that's right. You had progress.
Yeah.
That's when you got
Oh,
accepted to college.
see, this started with him getting accepted to college, and then oh, okay. Sorry, you get a
Yeah.
turn still this year though.
Arrival. Awesome. Man, this house is filling up. I think following that scene, um, I think so. I think in the winter there is a yeah. So there's a knock on the door, um, and there's an old gentleman, um, like very like grizzled sea captainy beard, pointed hat, and a giant purple chest, knocks on the door in like the middle of the night, and I think Robin might answer the door, and Robin looks very very like puzzled and inquisitive at this stranger who seems to look like he lived here at some point. And he says in a very sort of like boastful, joyous tone, you're like, "Oh, hey, little one, hey, how's it going? Hey, just 1 second." And he opens up like his like long sleeve or whatever, and like pulls out some sweets. They look like they're like sweets from another, like a completely different place, not something that you would get here. Um, Perhaps some sort of like ginger peppermint or something like that.
I
And
like where this is going.
and he looks down at Robin. It's like, so tell me, kid, is Mr. Jenkins around? Um, and Robin like doesn't answer because it's this stranger is here, and and Robin just kind of looks there and looks at the candy and looks at the man, and the man kind of just like snaps his fingers and says, "Oh, I bet you don't know who I am. I'm so surprised that Jenkins hasn't told me about him. My name is uh, Guswald, and I meet your father and I go way back. Uh, we were former adventurers."
I'm loving everything about this.
And it says, so fortune would have it that, and so like I guess at this point Jenkins shows up, and they're kind of like in the dining room, um, and they're like catching up, and Old Man Jenkins and Guswald are kind of like catching up, and Guswald start like immediately kind of casually pulls out his pipe, and Jenkins is like, "Guswald, not in the house, not with the kids. Like if you want to do that, let's go to the roof." Um, So he's like, oh, sorry, yeah, later. So listen, I'm in town, as things go, um, and we're old buddies, and I kind of need a place to stay, and I looked you up, and here you are. And old and Jenkins kind of looks kind of like, oh, you could not pick a worse time. Like all these rooms are basically full. I don't know where we're gonna live. And Guswold's like, don't worry, you still have that basement, right? And Jenkins looks sort of like absent-minded. He's like, yeah, like I'm not sure. Like Jenkins doesn't know where he's going with this. And Guswold's like, the room's still back there, right? And Jenkins kind of has a eureka moment and goes like, "Oh yeah, the room. Totally. Yeah, no, absolutely. I don't think it's been used since you were here last. It's yours." And he's like, "Thank you." And so I think I think a purple trunk ends up in the basement.
And now we know where that door leads.
To some
Awesome.
sort of, well, we don't, but we know that Guswald lives in there.
It's kind of similar.
So that's his purple trunk, and I gotta
Nice.
give this guy an age.
And then make it older because it's the next year.
Oh God, yeah. This is like Full House.
Yeah.
All right, I updated the bottom three.
All right. 15. Craft. Hey, you know what? Um, huh. Hmm. Now, it says craft is still not possessed by others yet. What is it used for? So, we've got a new family member who is a warlock. What does warlocking look like? Is my question. Oh, I know. Okay. Are in the middle of this is the middle of winter. This is the longest night of the year. And we're on the roof.
Okay.
And Guswald is there along with Sparrow and Robin. And I think that Bartholomew is there as well, but he's like standing in the doorway, like, I'm too cool for this kind of thing. Um,
Of course, he's 20 now.
Guswald is, uh, yeah, exactly. As Guswald is basically making magical fireworks in the air above the roof of the townhouse, and you can kind of pan out a little bit in order to see that there are other fireworks going up in the night.
Ooh.
Um, and Guswald is explaining that you know this um, this night being the longest night, human beings have always um, felt afraid that the light was not coming back. And so, as we practiced and learned wizardry and so forth, and developed magic, uh, we decided to celebrate on this, the longest night of the year, by uh, using frivolous bursts of magic, a display of uh, bravado against the night.
Love it.
And as he sends up more and more, and they like explode into various shapes, and um, he so yeah, he goes on, and you can see Sparrow like mimicking his gestures uh, as as he goes through the motions to cast some basic twinkle spells into the sky.
Aw.
And they had to move the telescope, and I would, but that would just ruin literally everything.
Oh, I'll try.
So I won't. No. There we go. Close enough.
It's an IKEA. Telescope's inside.
Yes.
And banister. Okay. I guess, and it comes back to me. So
Uh-huh.
let's do move. We haven't had that one yet.
Mm.
So we have to suggest, so I have to suggest a reason why the family might move out, and then we vote on it, and then it's a reshuffle. Um, oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Um, we're back on the roof again, and we're eating breakfast. Like the kids are like it's early in the morning. Everyone's still kind of wearing their like pajamas. Uh, you know, and Griswold kind of comes up from the kitchen. You're like you. I feel like Griswold probably wears like bells of some kind. So like you always hear him coming like a gesture kind of. And so he like comes
Uh-huh.
in like before like while the doors close and everyone's kind of like chatting a little bit, like eating their eggs and whatever. And like the door opens, and you like you were anticipating, and behind him he has his trunk, and he's like, "All right, kids, your ride's here. It's time to go." And everyone kind of just looks at him for a second, and he's like, "No, let's go to the roof." And everyone just looks puzzled, and we all go to the roof, and so the scene takes place on the roof. Everyone's there kind of like in their pajamas, but like when you're coming up the ladder, you hear this low drone, and Griswold's the first person up on the roof, and he opens the door, and there's a giant airship just like parked right on the roof, um, set up, and over the sound of like the dirigible fantasy, like sounds of the ship and everyone working on the crew and stuff like that. He's like, so I called in a few favors, and Old Man Jenkins agrees. Uh, I think it's time that we all go on an adventure.
Ah!
And so we're gonna be an adventuring family
Oh my god, that's too good.
on this airship.
That's way too good though. Oh man.
So this is interesting because that's my move, and now we have to vote on the move. So the rules for that are the move card. So when a player draws move, there's a chance a family will leave the home and be replaced by a new family. When you draw a move, introduce the scene as normal, show a reason why they might leave. After the scene, the group as a whole decides whether the move takes place. So, I vote last. So,
Of course. Um, so it says when making your vote, you should consider is the reason given to move likely? Given what you know doesn't make sense. Is it likely? Maybe not, but it makes a lot of sense. What we do know, what we established of Griswold moving in and of Mr. Jenkins having been a former adventurer, with him wanting to kind of push Bartholomew out of the nest, and also giving Sparrow an opportunity to use her magic. I think it makes a lot of sense. Whether or not it's likely, yeah, meh. Um, do I want the family to move out or do I want to continue following their story? That's the harder question because I really like this story that we're telling and I think it would be very interesting to continue it. But I also really I feel like this is kind of a perfect end note.
yeah.
And so I'm torn. So I'm going to have to vote for yes, they move out, leaving it in Eric's hands as to if we continue.
Honest,
Because
honestly,
it's your fault. Their way.
I'm gonna have to vote yes, just because I love that. Once it came to my head, I have to vote yes as well, and they're gonna go on an
Mm,
adventure. This is like literally
yes.
like the prequel to a movie.
Oh my gosh, like the
like,
entire thing sped up and like set to music like the introduction to Up,
oh yeah, yeah, exactly,
totally
exactly.
silent. Oh man, so good.
Yeah, just kind of
Okay.
fast forwarded. Oh my god. So, wow. Okay. So I think that's the good breaking point then.
Totally. Totally.
So, um, well then tell me, Kelsa. So since we have some time, let's talk about
Sure.
the game itself and what you liked and maybe what you didn't like.
Wow. That was intense.
Yeah.
Like I I wasn't sure about it at first. It seemed really interesting. And reading through the rules, I'm like, there's what, four pages of rules and then 2 pages of cards.
Yep.
It's tiny, but because of the cards and the random nature of that, I think it's really robust. And I really enjoy telling a story back and forth like this. I think the rules are um, very good at making it clear, what is yours and what could potentially be anybody's to change or ruin, um,
Yeah.
as the cards demand. Um, so it was also really satisfying to play with you particularly. There was a number of times where we were really on the same page and in the same wavelength on a lot of things. I think it just really gelled going forward. I like the fact that it's in a high fantasy setting where the end result of flying off on an airship to have magical adventures is legit,
Yeah.
but that it dealt with really everyday problems, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
I really enjoy um,
And cozy,
kind of
intimate
gameplay.
relationship gameplay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. That's my favorite part about this game. I live for those kind of moments. Um, that's probably what I like the most about this game. Um, Two things I think. So this is my second time playing now, and both of these things that I'm going to suggest here, or not suggest, but just kind of issues I have with it. One is like you have to change a scene, like you have to change something in a room or something like that.
Yeah,
Like
I think
I don't think that's
we
always
both kind of
necessary.
forgot about those things. Well, that's why it says that some of them can be can be temporary,
Temporary. Yeah.
and you don't have to worry about actually changing anything on the map, but only if it's going to be lasting to do that.
Yeah.
And I think on the one hand, I understand where you're coming from on that, but on the other, like remembering and thinking about doing that leads to little details like, the dust motes coming in the window as that sense of anticipation. I think it can really add to a scene if you just if it makes you think outside the box for that one extra detail, you know?
No, that's actually yeah. Actually, yeah, yeah. I wouldn't change it. I think it's actually right the way it is. Is that if you want to add some, like it reminds you that you can change the scene now, but it doesn't really force you. I think it's
And I
it's a
think
good
in a
way.
way, I think in a way it also gives you an opportunity to describe something that may have been true about the room in your mind, but may not have
Mm.
ever been said or established. And as
Yeah.
it said, it also says in the rules, you can there's table talk is fine, but until it appears in a scene, it's not real. It hasn't happened. It's not true. So if you
Totally.
have certain things that you've like imagined about a room and you haven't mentioned them in any way, then they're not necessarily true. And I think that establishing the scene moment of changing the room, it could be as simple as just drawing to the forefront a detail that you think has always been there.
Mm. Leafington in chat also suggests that forcing a change also somewhat pushes the story forward. It gives you something to play on, but that's kind of what you're alluding to as well.
Yeah, definitely true. I
Um,
think
yeah.
that's a good way to put it.
He Leafington follows up with the scenery reflects the story. The room changes causing the story to move on. Yeah, it's sort of like the changes are almost scars in a way, or tattoos, depending on if they're good or bad,
It's also a
um,
way to indicate
or
time
badges.
passing.
Yeah, yeah, how
Um,
things change over
you
time.
know, because even I mean, from day to day in your own house, your room is going to look generally the same. But if you've been in there, then the keys have moved to the other side of the table, or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And I didn't even think of that
Uh,
example until just this second. But that could
yeah,
have been a minor detail you could describe of
yeah.
something that has changed.
I think the more I would play this game, the more those little tiny minor details would come to the forefront. I like
I
it doesn't mean
mhm.
anything to put the keys to the other side of the table, like in terms of the actual game, but that could be significant. Like
Yeah, it could be.
especially if it
It
comes
could
to like
be.
tradition or something like that. Like these like just small things. Like
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
like it's very nice. God, this game's so good. So I have a question for you, or I had a suggestion because I had one other thing that I like about this game that I want to try differently. How would you feel about having two options and then picking one of the cards?
Okay, so hmm, I kind of like that, and I feel like that's kind of like from the quiet year, but at the same time, like some of those hard choices that I got rolled on, like pain,
Yeah.
like to sit there and go, okay, how or why would these characters hurt each other? Especially when we're working like in this particular story towards a very loving, happy, supportive environment of a foster home in a fantasy setting that is like idealized. Like where does that pain come from? And I don't know. I think I feel like it's asking the hard questions,
Mm-hmm.
but I guess um if it was something along the lines of taking like your general topic of pain or whatever and then breaking it down into two more specific choices, I think that could
Oh.
be good for getting your prompts going. But like if you're like or if both of the choices are equal, like if you're looking at like your choices are
Oh.
pain or
So like quiet
disaster.
year, like quiet. Yeah.
Yeah, keep it more like Quiet Year, because I think if you like if you just have two random cards that you draw and you could wind up, your choices are um you know uh move or disaster, or there'd probably be some special thing about if you get move you have to deal with it, but if you're like your choices are uh disaster or arrival, you're like, well, of course I'm gonna pick arrival probably. Or if your
Yeah.
choices are conflict or joy, and I mean, maybe you're sadistic and playing this like a game of The Sims and you're like, I'm gonna pick conflict. But by having to
God, this game is like The Sims, isn't it? That's exactly what this
Oh my
is.
gosh.
I hope Sam's watching this and I hope he realizes he made Sims the RPG because that's exactly what he did.
Oh my gosh, it's so true. So true. Um, wow.
Yeah, that's what this is. Like if you enjoy playing The Sims, you would enjoy this game.
I do enjoy playing The Sims, and maybe that's why I love this too much. Oh my gosh, this is like my new favorite game. Um, and I already am in love with Microscope, so that's saying a lot. Okay, but like I think if you have the choices between two equally heavy, like if you draw a card, you shouldn't have like a light choice and a heavy choice.
Okay.
They should be equally heavy. If they're both light, then that's fine, or if they're both kind of in the middle, that's fine. But if you're looking at two heavy choices, then making a decision would be okay. But I think part of it is like by drawing this card and then you wind up telling a really dark something, you can blame it on the card. You've got a
Yeah,
certain scapegoat there.
but
Because if you choose to go a certain way and then wind up telling a particularly dark tale, or uh or something like that, then you chose that. You wasn't
mm,
just what you had to do because of the card. So I
yeah.
don't know.
Okay. No, that's a really good point, and I think you kind of dilute that toughness that comes that that kind that the tough call of like, all right, I drew this card, I have to make it work. By like you kind of get rid of that, but you get to see more like card variety as well, and possibly like we
Possibly,
like
possibly.
food only came up one time this game. There was not
No,
a
food never came
single
up.
no. It
There
came
was
up.
there was
I think
uh-uh.
it no the first year didn't it?
No, we did not. We did it was tradition.
Oh, that's
I'm
right.
pretty
So
sure.
food never came up. Food never came up,
Yep.
and departure never
Lies
came
came
up.
up 3 times?
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
my first playthrough of this game on Thursday, we didn't get a single arrival. We had nothing but departure, pain, conflict. Like it was really sad. For this poor family. You can read about it more on my on my blog where I did a write up for it. But like this was so different. This was like kind of I felt like this was probably more true to fact of what how the game actually plays. Um, a pretty solid balance of positive and negative.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, there was a
Yeah.
pretty good balance. And
Um.
I think
Hmm.
um I think neither one of us pulled our punches when it
No.
was negative. And I think that was really important.
Absolutely. I
Um,
think I think that cannot be overstressed, like overemphasized enough. Not don't pull your punches when you're coming up with these things. I enjoy it in a way that these are all kind of like the dictated scenes from Microscope, and that you can just
mhm.
run like roughshod over these characters that you come up with, and like no one can protest it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
like
Like
you
I
have a
could see
yeah.
like when I'm like throwing people off the roof and you're like, "No!"
Yeah,
But
I'm invested, but like I'm like I don't want it to happen because I care about the characters, but like it's happening and it's like, oh, okay, it feels the feels.
yeah, yeah, about 10,000 feels.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Leamington in chat suggests, if you're really stuck, perhaps you can agree on one mulligan per game. How do you feel about that, Kelso?
Mm. Yeah, I think so. And I think that's one, that's good because
Mm-hmm.
there maybe you come across a card and you have an idea, but the only idea that you can get in your head is one you don't want to talk about.
Yeah.
And then you get stuck on it. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And it's not just
totally.
for that, but that's like one circumstance where I can see that being like super important because as cards came up, like sometimes it would just be really hard, like, okay, what am I gonna come up with? But then as soon as like an inkling of an idea came, it kind of snowballed and I couldn't think of like anything else that I would have wanted to do for that. But if you couldn't even come up with anything, I can see that being a thing also.
Yeah.
But yeah, one mulligan per game seems pretty
I think
pretty
that's
fair.
probably fair, yeah.
Oh,
Well,
Roof Dog. Everybody loves Roof Dog.
okay. Well, I think that pretty much wraps it up for this episode of Once Upon a Game. Kelso, thank you so much for coming out here. Any final?
Thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys. If you enjoy this, you can always catch me Mondays and Wednesdays at 9 p.m. to about midnight or so Pacific. If that doesn't work for you, the VODs will go up on YouTube. Um, Once again, this is the game. This is a show about story games, typically GMless or GM full style games, and that run for about 3 hours or so. They're never a continuation; they're always one shots. Once again, this game was House of Reeds by Sam Kabo Ashwell. It's free for you to run and play. It's on his blog. I'll link it in the description and stuff like that. So thank you very much. I, take care. All right. Good night.